Linda, David said, looking up at her with love and determination. From the moment I met you, I knew you were special. I've never felt this way about anyone. I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me? Linda's heart raced. She could feel every pair of eyes in the room staring at her, waiting for her answer. Her mind was spinning. What do I do? She thought. His parents don't approve. They will never approve. This can't work. But saying no in front of everyone? I can't embarrass him like that. The pressure was unbearable. After what felt like an eternity, Linda forced herself to smile and nodded. Yes, she said softly. The room erupted in applause. People clapped, cheered, and congratulated the couple as David slipped the ring onto her finger. He stood and pulled her into a warm hug. It was their moment, and everyone celebrated with them. But as soon as they got to the car, Linda's smile disappeared. She turned to David, her face filled with frustration. Why would you do that, David? She demanded. You know your parents don't want us together. How could you propose like that in front of everyone? David looked surprised. Linda, I proposed because I love you. I'm not going to let anyone stop us from being together. Linda pulled the ring off her finger and handed it back to him. I said yes to save you from embarrassment, but I can't marry you. I'm not ready to face your parents' wrath. David, this won't work. David's face fell. Linda, please, don't do this. I've told you, no one can stop us. I will fight for you, for us. Linda hesitated. She looked at the ring in her hand, then back at David's pleading eyes. After a long pause, she sighed and put the ring back on. Fine, she said quietly, but I'm trusting you to keep your word. If you're going to fight for us, you have to make it work. David smiled, relief washing over him. I promise, Linda, I will do whatever it takes. In the heat of the moment, he leaned in and kissed her. It was their first kiss, and for the first time, Linda allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, things could work out. The next day, the news of their engagement exploded online. Someone at the restaurant had recorded the proposal and posted it, and the video quickly went viral. Comments flooded social media. Some people praised Linda for her humble background and courage to love beyond her status. Others criticized her, calling her a gold digger who didn't deserve David. Sandra, meanwhile, came across the video. She smiled sadly as she watched, then whispered to herself, I hope they find happiness. But her parents were furious. Sandra's mother picked up the phone and called Mrs. Williams immediately. Is this true? She demanded. Is your son really engaged to that maid? Is that why he couldn't love my daughter? What a disgrace. How embarrassing for both of our families. Mrs. Williams was taken aback. She ended the call and opened her phone, finding the viral video. Her face turned pale as she watched her son propose to Linda in a public restaurant. This boy has gone too far, she muttered. Why does he insist on bringing shame to this family? She stormed into David's room, her anger boiling over. How dare you humiliate this family like that? She shouted. Proposing to that maid in public for the whole world to see? You are a disgrace, David. David stood firm, his jaw clenched. Mom, I've told you already. Either you accept Linda or you forget about me. I'm marrying her, and that's final. You are out of your mind, his mother snapped. Do you think we'll sit back and let you ruin your life? David didn't flinch. This is my life. You can't control me anymore. Despite the growing tension at home, David and Linda's relationship blossomed. They spent more time together, exploring parks, shopping, and enjoying each other's company. Linda began to relax, allowing herself to fall deeply in love with David. But the storm was far from over. When David announced their wedding plans to his parents, his father exploded with rage. If you marry that girl, I will disown you, Mr. Williams roared. And I will make sure your life is miserable, his mother added, her voice sharp and full of venom. David stood his ground. his love for Linda unwavering. "Do whatever you want," he said firmly. "I'm marrying Linda. Nothing you say will change my mind." His parents were stunned by his defiance, but they weren't ready to give up. David wasn't going to let anyone stand in the way of his love for Linda. Despite his parents' threats and disapproval, he pressed ahead with their wedding plans. It was a simple civil ceremony. No extravagant guest list or lavish decorations. Just a quiet moment between two people deeply in love. When Linda walked down the aisle in her elegant dress, David's heart felt as though it might burst. Her smile was radiant, her happiness unmistakable, and in that moment, nothing else mattered. As they exchanged vows and sealed their union with a kiss, the small crowd of close friends and supporters cheered for the couple. After the ceremony, David and Linda wasted no time. They boarded a plane and left the country for their honeymoon. It was everything Linda had dreamed of and more. The first morning in the tropical paradise, Linda woke up to the sound of gentle waves and a soft breeze filtering through their oceanfront villa. She turned to find David smiling at her, holding a tray of breakfast he had prepared himself. Fresh fruits, pastries, and her favorite tea. "Good morning, Mrs. Williams," he said with a playful grin. Linda laughed, feeling a rush of joy at the sound of her new title. "Good morning, Mr. Williams. I could get used to this." Their days were filled with love and laughter. They strolled hand in hand along white sandy beaches, watched sunsets, and shared intimate dinners under the stars. Linda couldn't stop marveling at how her life had transformed. She had gone from being a maid in David's house to his wife. She often caught herself smiling, overwhelmed by gratitude and happiness. "David," she said one evening as they sat by the beach, watching the waves lap at the shore, "I don't know what I did to deserve you, but I'm so glad you chose me." David turned to her, his eyes soft with love. "You didn't have to do anything, Linda. You're perfect just the way you are. I am the lucky one." While David and Linda were reveling in the joy of their new life together, trouble was brewing back home. His parents, devastated by his defiance, decided to teach him a lesson. "Freeze his account," Mr. Williams said firmly, his face set in stone. Mrs. Williams, equally determined, nodded. "If he wants to live like a commoner, let him experience what that really means. No money, no help. Let's see how long this love lasts." After a month of bliss, David and Linda returned to Nigeria, excited to start their new life. They had moved into a cozy home that David had rented before the wedding, and the first order of business was stocking up on essentials. At the mall, they picked out everything they needed: kitchen appliances, groceries, and small decorative items to make the house feel like home. Linda was beaming, thrilled to be setting up her own space with the man she loved. When they got to the checkout counter, David handed over his card to pay. He smiled at Linda as they waited, but the cashier frowned. "Sorry, sir," she said. "Your card has been declined." David's smile faltered. "That's odd. Let me try again." He inserted the card again, but the same message popped up: declined. "All right, let me transfer the funds," David said. Pulling out his phone, he tapped a few buttons, but the transfer wouldn't go through. By now, a small line had formed behind them, and David could feel the stares. Linda touched his arm gently. "David, it's okay," she said softly, sensing his growing frustration. "No, it's not okay," he replied, trying another card. When that failed, he called his account manager. After a few moments, the account manager's voice came through. "Sir, your account has been frozen." David's eyes widened. "What? Why? Who authorized this?" "Your parents, sir," the manager replied hesitantly. David felt like the ground had shifted beneath him. His parents had frozen his account. His chest tightened with anger. "How could they do this?" he muttered, clenching his fist. Linda squeezed his hand. "David, let's go. We'll figure this out." Feeling humiliated, They left the mall without their purchases. David was fuming, but Linda remained calm, her steady presence helping him stay grounded. The next day, David couldn't hold back his anger. He drove straight to his parents' house, determined to confront them. But when he arrived, he was met with an unexpected obstacle, the gate man. "Uncle David," the man said, his tone apologetic but firm. I'm sorry, I can't let you in." David frowned. "What do you mean you can't let me in? This is my parents' house." The gate man looked genuinely distressed. "Madam and Oga told me I'd lose my job if I allow you inside." "Please, understand, Uncle David. This job is all I have. I can't risk it." David stared at him in disbelief. "So they've banned me from entering now?" "I'm so sorry, Uncle David," the gate man said, his voice full of regret. David's fist clenched at his side, but he forced himself to take a deep breath. Losing his temper wouldn't solve anything. "It's fine," he said curtly before turning back to his car. "I'll handle this my way." As he drove off, his mind raced. His parents' action only strengthened his resolve. Back at home, Linda was waiting for him, her face full of concern. "What happened?" she asked as he walked through the door. David sat down heavily on the couch, running her hand through his hair. "They wouldn't even let me in," he said bitterly. "They've frozen my accounts, banned me from the house. They are doing everything they can to break us." Linda sat beside him, taking his hand in hers. "David, I know this is hard, but we get through it. We don't need their money. We can start afresh, just the two of us." David looked at her, his heart swelling with gratitude. "You are amazing, you know that?" Linda smiled softly. "I love you, David. That's all that matters." David nodded, determination flickering in his eyes. "We'll be okay, Linda. No matter what it takes, I'll make sure of it." As the couple faced the challenges ahead, one thing was clear. Their love was unshakable, and they were ready to fight for their happiness. David couldn't believe what his life had become. After his parents froze his account and cut him off completely, he called them repeatedly, but their phones just rang without an answer. His frustration mounted with each failed attempt. "Is it a crime to fall in love?" David muttered bitterly to himself as he drove home. When he walked through the door, Linda was waiting for him, her face full of concern. "They are ignoring me," he said, slumping onto the couch. "They froze my account, banned me from the house, and now they won't even pick up my calls." Linda sat beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "David," she said gently, "your parents are angry because you didn't respect their wishes. You just need to give them time." David shook his head. "I don't understand how they can be so cruel. Do they even care about me?" Linda sighed. "Of course, they care about you, but they are hot and stubborn right now. You have to stay calm and focus on us." Their marriage, which should have been filled with joy and excitement, was already starting to feel heavy. David, who had been surrounded by wealth his entire life, was suddenly thrown into a world of uncertainty and lack. He had no access to his parents' wealth, no steady income, and no experience navigating life without privilege. For Linda, the adjustment was easier. She had lived a life of struggle before meeting David and was determined to support her husband through the storm. She couldn't bear to see them go hungry, so she immediately started looking for work. Every day, Linda filled out applications, attended interviews, and waited for callbacks. But weeks passed, and the rejections piled up. David, meanwhile, tried to gain access to his parents' company to plead for a position, but the security staff refused to let him in. "I'm sorry, sir," one of them said, avoiding David's furious gaze. "Orders from the top. We can't let you through." Life became unbearably difficult for them, but Linda refused to give up. She dug into her savings, what little she had left from her job as a maid, to sustain their household. Every meal, every necessity came from her dwindling funds, but she never complained. 3 months into their marriage, Linda found out she was pregnant. When she told David, his reaction was a mix of joy and worry. "A baby? That's amazing," he exclaimed, pulling her into a hug. But then, his expression darkened. How are we going to afford everything? Don't worry about that, Linda said with a reassuring smile. We'll figure it out. We always do. Thankfully, David was able to secure healthcare for Linda through his family's hospital and HMO, despite his parents' estrangement. It was a small relief in an otherwise overwhelming situation. Out of desperation, Linda accepted a low-paying job as a cleaner at an international company. The hours were long, the work exhausting, but she faced it head-on, determined to provide for her growing family. David, on the other hand, threw himself into job hunting. It wasn't easy. He had no experience working for anyone other than her family's business, and most companies saw him as just another privileged rich kid. But David was determined to prove them wrong. After months of rejection, David finally secured a remote job with a tech company abroad. The pay wasn't extravagant, but it was steady. When he got the offer, he rushed home to share the news with Linda. "Linda, I got the job," he said, bursting through the door with a wide grin. Linda dropped the mop she was holding and stared at him. "What? Are you serious?" David nodded, grabbing her hands. "It's remote and it pays well for us to manage. You don't have to keep cleaning floors anymore. I've got us covered." Linda's eyes filled with tears. "David, I don't know what to say. Thank you." David cupped her face in his hands. "You've carried us for so long, Linda. It's my turn now." With David's new job, the couple's financial situation began to stabilize. They could finally afford to shop without counting every penny, and Linda could rest and focus on her pregnancy. David, now fully immersed in his role as a provider, stopped reaching out to his parents. He was determined to build a life for his family without their influence or wealth. "I don't need them," he told Linda one night as they prepared dinner together. "We are going to be okay on our own." Linda smiled softly. "We will. I believe in you, David." As Linda's due date approached, excitement filled the air. David made sure everything was ready for the baby's arrival, from setting up a crib to stockpiling diapers and baby clothes. But the day Linda went into labor, everything changed. David rushed her to the hospital when her contractions began. Hours passed as he waited anxiously in the delivery room, holding her hand and whispering words of encouragement. "You are doing great, Linda," he said, his voice trembling. "Just a little longer. Just hold on a little longer." Finally, their baby boy was born. David's heart swelled with joy as he held his son for the first time, tears streaming down his face. "Linda, he's perfect," he said, turning to her with a beamy smile. But Linda didn't respond. Her face was pale, her breathing shallow. Panic swept through the room as the doctor announced that she had lost too much blood and needed an immediate transfusion. David's blood type was tested. It wasn't a match. The hospital staff scrambled to locate compatible blood from other banks, but time was running out. David was frantic. "Do something," he shouted at the doctors. "You can't let her die." He dropped to his knees in the hallway, tears streaming down his face. "Please," he whispered, praying for a miracle. "Don't take her away from me. Not now, not ever." Just as hope seemed to fade, a nurse rushed into the room, her voice urgent. "We found the match," she said. David looked up, his heart pounding. "Who? Where?" The nurse didn't answer as she rushed to prepare the donor. David clasped Linda's hand, whispering, "Hold on, love. Please, hold on." Will Linda survive? Drop your guesses in the comment section. Stay tuned for the next part.